we go. Okay. Now let's talk about what you can do with component blending modes. Component blending modes are hue, color, saturation, and brightness. These are basically the components of color itself, okay? But their blending mode counterparts are quite tricky to use. I mostly use this for editing or when I have no access with my raw files or I'm just lazy and I don't want to get my external drive. So let's talk about changing colors. I already have the image mask or selected the area that I will be using for this example. I did that off cam because my masking is very poor. Make sure you have the selection of the area you want to change color. You can either make a new layer and fill that with color using a bucket tool, or let's make a new layer, fill. This will ask you for a color. Let's just choose a really saturated color and click OK when you're done. So what if we try the other darken blending modes for this? Let's see here. Darken is way too dark. Multiply is the same. Color burn is just too strong. Same with linear burn. Subtract is not a darken blending mode, but I click at that. So this is where hue and color comes in. Hue will change the color and will try to combine itself with the color of the layer below while maintaining the saturation and the original luminosity values. This doesn't work on grayscales. Color, on the other hand, works the same as hue, but this works on grayscales. Sometimes this doesn't work really well and might treat the layer below as a grayscale if the image below is too dark, and this will add a selected color in a very vibrant result. So both works on changing colors because again, this maintains the saturation and luminosity of the layer below. So you can pick whatever works best for you. For here, I think hue works best on this image, and let's go now to the next topic, which is saturation. Okay, so now let's go to saturation. It's the same example as hue. Make sure you have your selection. You can either use a fill layer or let's make a new layer. Control plus Shift plus N and get your bucket and just fill in the color. So this is hue. It's blue, right? So if we go and change the blending mode to saturation, it just turned back to the original color. It made it red again. And if we change the colors right here and fill in with a different color, nothing will happen because the saturation and vibrancy is not changing. Saturation blending mode will only change the saturation depending on the blending layer's values. If we move this color right here, you can see that the saturation level also changed, and apply that to the blending layer, we get a different tone. Okay, so that's what saturation blending mode does. Once it's applied, it's only going to change the saturation of the blending layer while maintaining the original hue and luminosity. Unless you change the color into black or white, the resulting image will be grayscale. Okay, next topic. This is the last topic for this. Okay, now let's talk about brightness. This is brightness blending mode, and this is quite a questionable blending mode for me because this only reads the luminosity. I've only found one way for this blending mode, and it works for me on correction layers. Let's say we have this ramen right here. Let's make a new layer, new correction layer. Let's choose tone curves. Let's make a simple S correction. Click OK when you're done. You can see that it's very saturated now. If we change this blending mode from normal to brightness, all those saturation is now gone, because once you made the tone adjustment into a brightness blending mode, this will only affect and work on the luminosity based on the layer below. It's going to ignore everything else. Even if you started editing the RGB values, you can still edit them, but you'll only be able to edit the luminosity values of the red, greens, and blues, and not the hue and saturation of it. Even if you go all out on it, let's go back to normal. This is what it looks like on normal, but once you go back to brightness, the colors and adjustment disappear and only the luminosity values remain. This egg became poached. Let's change it back. Okay, and so this is brightness blending mode. Again, this only changes the brightness or the luminosity based on the blending layer, based on the tone of the blending layer. Okay, see, we're learning. Okay, that's it.